Today I wanted to work on some scrap projects, and in this video we will be focusing on home decor. Today I want to make a rug for my bedroom. Recently my dog pooped on my old rug that I had, and it was this big tapestry rug slash blanket that I got from Valvry that I had had for a while. Basically I had to throw it out because it was completely dirty, and after my dog diarrheaed all over it, I was just like, well, let's use this as an opportunity to make a new one. In order to make this rug, I will have to figure out first a color palette, and two, I'll have to figure out the dimensions of the rug itself. My room doesn't necessarily have a color palette. I have a lot of greens and like earth tone colors around my room, but I don't have like a specific color theme, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. And also I want this rug to be relatively big, so yeah, without further ado, we're just gonna get right into it. So this is my big box of scrap yarn. I got this box of yarn off of Depop. Someone was just selling all of these like different types of yarn. Most of them are like a weight 3 or a weight 4, and then there's like a variety of like cotton, wool, and acrylic. So I figured since I have a lot of colors to choose from, I'm gonna have to decide on which colors I want to use. And I also have some yarn like in these bins here, so I can also pull from those too. But yeah, just like a pro tip, like if you're someone who wants to, you know, add to their yarn stash, but you don't want to like spend a whole bunch of money, and you know, you're the type of person that likes to buy yarn online, I would definitely recommend looking into places like Depop or like Facebook Marketplace, or even Etsy. There are plenty of people who sell like just giant bundles of yarn, and I would also recommend finding yarn like at your local thrift store. The only thing about that is you want to be careful that the yarn that you choose doesn't have like bugs or lice, because that can happen. As someone who used to work at a thrift store, there was a time where apparently someone had donated a lot of yarn, but it all had lice in it. So just a little pro tip. So these are the colors that I'm thinking about using. I'm not really sure how I feel about this color palette just looking at it, but I wanted to sort of make sure I incorporate a lot of the greens here. So I have like a few different shades of green, and then obviously I wanted to incorporate some white and black, and then I have a couple of different browns, and then I have like 2 different like reds, and I may or may not use this pinkish color because I feel like it might be too similar to this color. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to like, I might do like a little swatch to see like kind of how it looks, and then I'll decide if I want to switch it up or not. But now I just gotta measure my room and figure out where I'm going to place this rug. So I kind of want the rug to start where my desk is, and then kind of come like, maybe there's like right here, or maybe like where my dresser is. So basically I measured from my bed up until like the end of the desk, and that was around like 40 inches. And then I measured longwise across here, and I calculated to about like 57 inches. So I think that should be big enough. Yeah. The only thing about making rugs is that like it's kind of hard for them to necessarily stay in place. So if I wanted to use this rug like right up against my desk, I have this rolly chair, and I just don't want it to like get all scrunched up and everything. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna make this swatch and then just gonna get started. So I have my swatch stitch, I have my swatch here, and basically I just put all of the colors like in a row, and then I use like a number randomizer, and so all of these colors were just picked at random. At the first glance, I do like it, I might change it, not really sure yet, but I do like it. I do think, you know, it might come out cool. I'm really liking this like burgundy and like this olive green pair here. Like this section I think will be really pretty, but regardless, yeah, so I did like 13 rows. I picked 13 colors, so I just stopped when I ran out of colors, and then I did 20 stitches. So I did a chain of 21, and then yeah, and I did the moss stitch. And so basically, in order to calculate how many stitches and how many rows I'll need to do, I measured the swatch stitch. So it was 8 inches across and then 4 inches long. So in order to calculate how many chains I would need to do, I took the 8 inches over 20 stitches, because that's how many chains I did. And then I wanted to get to 40 inches, so I cross multiply, divide, and I would have to do a chain of 100. And then for the length, or you know, how many rows I'll have to do, I took the 4-inch length, and then I did 13 rows, so I did 4 for 13, and then 58 inches is the length that I want to get to. So again, cross multiply, divided, and I rounded up to 189 rows that I will need. And then I took, I divided this number by 13, since I will be, you know, repeating these colors over and over. I wanted to see like basically how many color repeats I would have to do, and I got 14. So basically I will be doing this 14 times. So I'm gonna be honest, working on this rug was a very tedious and tiring and long task. I didn't record much of me making the rug because it would have been very boring and repetitive, but I'm pretty sure I worked on this rug for a good 2 weeks. I think the biggest challenge with this project was just how tedious it was. And I think that when you crochet on something for a very long time, you kind of get into a mood where the project doesn't really become fun anymore. And it got to a point where I would often take breaks from working on this rug and focus on doing other projects. And I didn't want to spend too long on making this video, so hence why I don't really have a lot of footage of me, working on this rug. But at the same time, this was, a good project for me to just have, as far as like me having something to do. I'm the type of person that, I always need to be doing something with my hands, and I think learning how to crochet has sort of been like a byproduct of that. But regardless, I was able to sort of catch up on a lot of things that I was kind of neglecting as far as like reading and all this stuff. I recently got a library card, and I wanted it to make, a goal for myself to read more books, as I kind of have been neglecting reading for pleasure ever since being in college. But now that I'm graduated and I have more time, I wanted to get back into the habit. So throughout the entirety of making this rug, I listened to the Midnight Library on the Libby app, and this was a book that I had wanted to sort of get into for a while. I knew it was like a fairly popular book. It came out during the pandemic, and I was finally able to grab a copy and listen to it. And I really enjoyed just being able to put on an audiobook and just crochet for a couple of hours at a time. My initial opinion of the book after I'd finished it, I thought it was okay. I think overall, I think the book is just okay. I feel as though, like, a lot of it does kind of feel cliche and kind of hammers home this idea of, like, you know, just be grateful for the life that you have, and, don't compare yourself to others, and, all the things that you kind of hear on social media. But I think the concept of the book was really cool, and I was thinking that it would be really cool if they somehow turned this into like a series, like a mini series. I just think that that concept of like a person kind of, visiting different timelines of which they exist. I guess kind of like, everywhere, everything all at once in that style. But yeah, like I said, I thought the book was okay. It wasn't, didn't really stand out too much to me, but there were some moments where I was like, okay, like I can kind of apply this to my own life and sort of what direction I want to go with it now that I am, a college grad and currently unemployed and, trying to figure out my place in the world. But yeah, I mainly just listened to that book. I caught up on a few shows, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. Alright, it has been, I want to say, exactly 2 weeks since I have last checked in with y'all, but the rug is officially done. It's definitely not as big as I had planned it to be, but the only reason for that was because, one, I started running out of yarn for specific colors, and I didn't really have like any replacement colors that would have like kept the, the color scheme cohesive. And also, like, I got to a point where I started kind of getting tired and bored of working on it. I was working on it for a couple of hours every day, or like for most days, and something that I noticed was that I got to a point where my hands specifically my fingers would start to cramp up whenever I would try to work on it, especially once I got past like the halfway point of the rug. I originally wanted the rug to be 189 rows, but I'll put a number of how many rows I've actually done. So I think I got a little bit like half of that number, but obviously not as big as I want it to be. But despite it not being super big, I do like how it came out. I feel like this is a really cute like accent piece for my room, and just looking at it, like I feel like it encompasses like all of the different colors that I have in my room and kind of ties them all together. So I do think that it looks good in my room. Still trying to figure out the placement of where I want the rug to be. I tried putting it up like against my desk, and then right now I kind of have it like up against my dresser. I'm still gonna try to figure that out, but yeah, I would consider this project to be a success. Despite taking 2 weeks to work on it, which I know like that's not that crazy, but for me, like I was just kind of hoping to get this done quicker, because I didn't want to spend like a whole lot of time, you know, working on it and like getting to a point where I just wanted to move on to something else and like kind of just neglect the video overall. I now have a new rug, and this honestly inspired me to like really get into doing more like home decor, especially just like around my room. I already have like a couple of ideas on, you know, stuff that I can add to kind of just like make it a little bit more, you know. That's all I have for this video. So if you did manage to make it to the end, thank you. And yeah, you can support me at my links in the description, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.